Shalom. I was listening to this sister, and then she was basically talking about the true salvation that's in Yahushua HaMashiach, who the world, the Gentile nations know as Jesus Christ. The de jure Jesus Christ, in the meaning that who he truly supposed to represent, Yahushua. Or some may say, what is it, Yeshua, or Yahushua. So, and that being said, let me give a disclaimer. This is just for informational purposes, spiritual purposes, and entertainment purposes. This depending on what level of that you're seeking Him in. So, then we have the Hebrew Israelites, Hebrew Yashraelites, and I'm not judging you or nothing like that. I'm just sharing information, sharing a thought. So say accept this thought in love. So we have some men that get on the corner and they preach and they teach at people. But consider that there is no sin without the law. In law, and once you receive the law, then there is sin, because the law exposes sin. But it must expose the sin within us first before we can expose the sins in others. Take out the plank out of your own eye before you judge your brother or you or anyone else. So, and also another thought I had, the scripture has different levels of meaning, but as I'm going to show you in the scriptures, it first begins in the physical, then the spiritual. So, and then some don't believe in Yahushua. I'm just speaking on a spiritual level right now because I know that it has fundamental meanings in life that you can apply to everyday life. That's what the scripture can do also. It's on different levels. But I'm speaking from a spiritual level right now, which is still pertinent to it begins in the physical, then the spiritual, but I'm speaking on a spiritual level that can relate to the physical. So, if you don't believe in Yahushua, Yahushua, and then those who call him Jesus, and I'm not talking about those who call him Jesus for a manipulative reason, but those who believe that is actually Yeshua or Yahushua. So, the law, it came about and it exposed sin, because sin and death reigned from Adam to Moses, and by the sin of one man, Adam, sin reigned into all the lives, because I believe Adam, as we call him Adam, was a spiritual being. He had a terrestrial body, a celestial body. It was a terrestrial body, but it was a spiritual body, not made with hands. No, it was a terrestrial body because it said we created out of the earth, but it was a different body than we have now. I believe that's the correct explanation. He had a different body than we had now, and because of his transgression, it changed from a perfect body to a corruptible body, one that perishes. And then the priesthood back in those days, the Levitical priesthood, they were allowed to use animals as sacrifice for the sins of man, for themselves and for their brethren. But that was just like a practice run or a type of the perfection that was to come. So Yahushua, who was the lamb slain from the very foundation of the world, he was the real thing that was to come. So what he did was through his perfect sacrifice, because some people say, and even scriptures, when he says, don't you know that you are gods? So those who are going to be in that God position, that sonship position from the Most High, an animal or a beast is not sufficient sacrifice for a God. So the highest God, let's say use God, Elohim, came and sacrificed himself to qualify the future gods or sons or Elohims of the Most High. That was the only way that it would be possible, because bulls and goats could not perfect that, could not be the proper sacrifice to allow us to live in the Spirit and by the Spirit. Because once we live in and by the Spirit, we're no longer subject in the sense of the law. It will not apply to us, being that we now eat the fruit of the Spirit and live by the Spirit. So a spiritual man can judge all things, but he's not judged by any, because he's not carnal. He does not operate in sin. So therefore the law cannot judge him. But in case you do sin, there is one that through his blood that you can ask for, you can be forgiven. But then he changed everything and turned it back on even ground. See, because once Adam fell, there was no more redemption for mankind, or sons of God that shall come, or no possibility for that to happen. So he came and sacrificed himself so he can reset everything. And then some people say, well, I'm forgiven by the blood. That's true. But what he did was reset everything. Now it's on you to work out your own soul salvation. Meaning that you must now accept, as they say, accept your responsibility, or accept your actions. Or even if it's not your actions, whatever comes your way, you still must work out your own salvation. You must now make yourself, say, many are called but few are chosen. You must now make your calling sure by living spiritually, by living righteous. So even those brothers and sisters, I ain't really seen no sisters, but brothers that's on the corners, you got to make sure. And I'm not telling you nothing, I'm just expressing an idea, a thought for you to accept or reject. Make sure that the things that you are saying, that you are living by them as well. Because if you're living, drinking, smoking, I'm just using these things for example, and not judging, I'm just speaking. Forgetting, doing all these things that is forbidden by the law that you proclaim to be professing. You're judging yourselves unworthy, because you're not living what you're saying. So that's what I'm saying. When you teach, you preach, whatever you're doing, do it being mindful of yourself, because as you judge others, you should also be judged. As you place the law on others, the law should also be placed on you. And I'm not sure if I said this or not, but my intent was to say, you don't have to create no new doctrine. Now, of course, there are some things that must be said to put in its proper place. That's true. But consider this. Since we are, and if we are, the people of the scriptures or the Torah, why do you need to change it? You don't have to come up with nothing new. And this is no offense to anyone else. If this is the truth, all you have to do is place the true people that the Torah is talking about and continue to do it. You don't have to make nothing new. You don't have to come with some new spectacular doctrine that you are the, or that we are the people that the great scholars and the great word has been spoken already by the great one. All we have to do is line up in it and by it. And if this is true, all we have to do is, we don't have to assault anyone, or all we have to do is line up according to what that great word has said, and the great one will bring the new day. Because the great one, and this is a scripture that a lot of people use all the time, the great one said in Revelations, he said he shall make the synagogue of Satan to bow down to your feet, and basically let the nations know that we are the loved ones. What's up, loved one? Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. So this, of course, the devil, Hasatan as they say, are his people, because his people comes in all nationalities. He said you should know them by their fruit. So today I'm speaking, I believe, but led by the Spirit. I was going to read some scriptures, but then I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to use this as a commentary, as a thought. Like I said, I'm not after anyone. This is, as they say, this is in good faith, trying to be honorable, being led by the Spirit of truth, to speak the truth. You get accepted or rejected. Like I said, from that standpoint, I'm not nobody to like that. So this is just a sharing of thought. The people of the scriptures is self-evident. Now, if you get mad at me for saying the truth, then, what can I do? What can I say? All right, then. Well, I do have a few minutes. Let me try to throw this in there. This is Romans 5, 12, and 14. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. For until the law, sin was in the world. But sin is not imputed when there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come, which is Yahushua HaMashiach.